Hello and welcome back to the Reapers. Today we're looking at the new addition to the Hornet, the Maverick F, the Maverick Foxtrot. It's an IR guided missile and it's replaced the D and the G. So before this we had the D and the G, and for historical reasons we believe they've now gone. What we think is that they were used basically on Air Force planes, not on the actual naval planes like the Hornet. The naval planes have had the Maverick F version, which was specifically optimized for naval use. So what I believe we do know about the Foxtrot is that it uses the body essentially from the E model, the laser guided model, which means the big warhead, the 300-pound thumping warhead, and it uses the guidance, the IR guidance system from the D, the Delta model. So what that means is it does not have the force correlation option that the Golf model had, which was an extremely useful option. Just so you know, the force correlate option means that you can fire at things that aren't lockable targets. So you can fire at a road or a big flat building or just an empty bit of sea if you want. We don't have that option in the F. Right, so now we're going to show actually using it. Now these Fs can be used against ground targets or they can be used against ships, and because we've got a special ship function in this F model, we might as well use it against some ships. So I've got some randomly spotted ships in front of us that we can go and shoot. So we're going to unpause it. We're going to click on main menu on a DDI, click on stores, and you can see, whoa, we're going fast. And you can see our Maverick Fs. We've got 4 of them available here. So we need master arm on, air to ground mode. At this point, all we can really do is step through the different missiles. If we can do, we have to select the Maverick F first, and we can step through the different Maverick Fs that we've got. The most we can have is 4 per aircraft. If we want to go and use it, we're going to click on the Maverick F again, and we get the Maverick screen. So this is essentially what the Maverick is seeing. It's its actual IR sensor. Have a quick look at options here. We've got some delay options: an instant impact, a delay 1, or a delay 2. So if we're shooting ships, it may be a best idea to use a delay so the missile can get into the hull of the ship and then explode, and we can cause more damage. We've got a ship toggle here. So if we want to fire at a ground target, we will leave the ship toggle off. If we want to fire at a ship, we'll turn the ship toggle on. If you put the ship selector on, it will optimize for a ship kill. It will go for the waterline or something like that, you said, didn't you, Riddle?
Yep.
Bottom left option here, you can choose the white or black. I think that just changes the display colors. I don't think it actually does anything per se. Field of view here, we can press field of view on and off, and it zooms in and zooms out on the display. Step here, you can see we've currently got station 8 selected. If we press step, we could cycle through our 4 different stations if we wanted to fire a particular station in Maverick. Our cage signal here, we can see we've got the missile cage at the moment. That means it is caged or fixed to the bore sight of the missile, and that is represented in the HUD by this triangle here. So if I were to move about, you can see that the cage missile is aiming wherever I point the plane, basically. Okay, and that is represented by what we see in the screen here. So that's that. Only one other thing to note at this point is that if we had just, I did an air start here, so everything's ready and warmed up. If we did a ground start, we equipped these Mavericks from a ground start and we took off. When we clicked on this screen to get this screen up, we will go through a warm-up sequence. It would be below this station here. It would say warming up. I would say, I forget exactly what it says, but it's like getting ready or something like that. Or standby or something like that, and a timer after it, and I think it takes about 90 seconds, and we call it a warm-up. It's not actually a warm-up. In reality, I believe it's actually a cool down. It has to cool the sensors down enough for them to work properly, but the only thing to note is just don't fire the missiles until that timer has ticked down to 0. Now we're going to talk about actually firing the missiles, so I'm going to unpause here. Obviously make sure we've got our master arm on and our air to ground. Then we're going to make sure that this left sensor is the sensor of interest, and before we go any further, let's have a look at the buttons that we're going to be using. So escape, we're going to be firing with weapon release. We're going to be using sensor control switch left to choose our sensor of choice, which is our Maverick. We're going to be using throttle designator controller depress. It's something that we're going to have to keep our finger on to aim the missile, and as well as that, we're going to be using the throttle designator controller up, down, left and right keys to move the designator about. Okay, so let's get rid of that. So the first thing we want to do is select this as our center of interest. So we're going to press center switch control left, and you can see we've now got this diamond, so now we can use it. That's something that people often forget, including me, and it's very frustrating when you forget to do this because you won't be able to basically use the Maverick. Okay, the next thing we want to do is maneuver our plane so that this arrow bore sight here is roughly in the area of a ship, and then we're going to click, and sorry I forgot this earlier, but we're going to click cage uncage button, so that one there, okay? And what that will do is recage our missile to wherever we press that button. So let me just and click. There's a small delay, and then you see we can move away now, and the missile stays firing at that point in space where we uncaged it to. So if we pause there, so it's fixed it in that space and time, and then we can't fire at that point because what that point there is not a valid target. We now need to move this, the TDC, the designated controller, onto a ship there to actually acquire a target. We'll know when we've acquired a target because instead of Mav with a cross through it, which means there's no lock, it will say Maverick locked, and essentially it will be ready to fire. So to move it about, we're going to keep our finger on throttle designator depress, and then use the TDC left, right, up and down to move the cross, which will appear here, onto the ship. So let's go and do that. So holding TDC to press down, you can see we get the big cross now, and now we're moving left and right and whatnot until we get a lock. Now, it's a little finicky at the moment, either that or I just don't know how to do it, but I'm struggling to get a lock on some ships. Let's see if we can get this one. I may be out of range. Either way, it's not locking at the moment. Oh, yeah, I got it. So the reason it took me a while to lock that is because it doesn't lock until I release my finger from the TDC to press button. So remember to release your finger to achieve the lock. Then we get Maverick locked, and we've no longer got a cross through it, and we can basically fire. I don't have any ranging information as far as I'm aware. We don't get any ranging information, at least without the targeting pod, which we don't have available at the moment. So let's unpause. I estimate that as about I guess 4 miles, something like that. So I'm going to press weapon release to fire, well within the range of the missile, and off it goes, and it should hit. And why don't we, just for practice, have another go? So I'm going to aim the cage missile. I'm going to press cage uncage. I'm going to press depress just to get it lined up, and I moved it, and we've got another lock. So let's fire again. Why not? And we're going to have some big old missiles heading in. Like we said, a whopping 300 pound warhead going in. Oh, is it going over the top? Is it going over the top? Boom. Sunk ship. Now there's just one thing there, a little naughty thing too. I forgot to press ship there. When you're firing at a ship, you should have ship icon selected like that. And like I said, it will optimize the shot for killing the ship. Now it sunk that big tanker with just one missile, so they're obviously extremely powerful. I don't know if the damage model's completely finished with them or not yet. I don't know. We'll just have to see and do some more practice. That's all I can think of saying. Like I said, we can't force correlate, so we can't just fire it at an open space anywhere at the moment. It has to be fired within range and at a valid target. Right, I hope you enjoyed that, everyone, and we'll see you later.